Majo John Madden in the beautiful Parque Acamal in the little pueblo of Acamal, Riviera Maya, Mexico. And it's super quiet, even though it's a weekday. The taxi drivers are not here. They often hang out. There's no kids. And the school behind me is out for the day, so we don't have the sound of kids back there. So most every Mexican town has a central square. This is not exactly a square, but this is as close as you get in Acamal to a central square, a meeting place. Oh, and there's an iguana. There's my friendly iguana. There's actually several in this. Don't you love those? I love iguanas. Love iguanas. I have lots of little lizards where I live, but this is an iguana. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. With a note about not taking things personal. Don Miguel Ruiz is a Mexican philosopher who I've yet to encounter anybody in Mexico who's familiar with him. I'm pretty sure he's still alive and living probably in Mexico City or somewhere. But his book, The Four Agreements, was wildly popular back in the U.S. among my circle of kind of new agey folks. And one of the four agreements, the one that really rocked my soul for a long time and still does, was don't take anything personal. And everybody I talk to who knows that book, that's the one that really reached them the most. Don't take anything personal, nothing. And it's written in, maybe it's a English translation. Maybe he originally wrote it in Spanish, I'm not sure. But if so, it's beautifully translated. Don't take anything personal. That's quite the challenge because us humans tend to do that. Now, I just had an experience here in Acamal that I briefly took personal. It hurt my feelings. Across the street there's a computer store. It's a papeleria, a paper store, but they have two computers that you can rent and use by the hour. And that's a resource I had looked for in vain in the big city of Playa del Carmen and in Cozumel. No, never discovered. Cozumel, I'd be walking a half hour more each way to go to the public library. And it was even kind of inadequate because the computers were not connected to a printer. This is beautiful, and it worked out great for me because when I got here, I didn't have a phone because my phone had been stolen. So I spent many hours in there. Now, one thing I'm finding in the Riviera Maya versus most of my 20 months in Mexico is that when I came down the east coast of Mexico along the Gulf of Mexico, it was a route that was not traveled by Americans or other international tourists. So people did not have a chip on their shoulder towards gringos. They didn't have an expectation that this is going to be an ugly American. They really received me well and were curious and liked talking to the gringo and trying out their English with me. But in the Riviera Maya, it's been different because it's loaded with expats and tourists. And here in the little village of Acamal, several times I've run into shopkeepers who at first were quite guarded with me, like, what's this guy going to be like? But I spent a lot of time in that lady's shop, and she really warmed up to me. She dropped her guard a lot. My birthday was there. She knew it was going to be my birthday, and as I came through the door, she was singing happy birthday in English, Juanito, my nickname here. And then I asked her to sing the Mexican birthday song because it's way nicer. And she sang that too. So it was sweet. And her kids take taekwondo at the local community center. And I went to the demo for it. And that's how I learned about the community center, which offers programs to kids. And part of why I've been so happy today is I was over there yesterday talking to them about offering programs for adults, which is something I've had in the planning stages for a year or more. All through Mexico, I wanted to offer these classes, and this is the way I can start, and they'll be free over there. But maybe I can even attract people from the resorts and the expats to come, some of them. And they've got a guy on staff who's going to translate for me, and he was a great guy. So we're not at yes yet, but I think we're going to get yes. So I wanted to tell her, hey, look, that worked, and she wants to be paid entirely in cash, which is common. And at one point, she had let me run a tab when I was out of money, and it was up over 400 pesos. And when I went to pay with my credit card after I got a check, she said, no, only cash. And at that point, I did not have a good resource to get cash. My credit card is stripped. I can't get money out of the ATM. It's only recently through my landlord, Marcos. He's got a source that doesn't mind running a tab and giving cash. So I have access to cash when I have money, which I don't right now. So I was saying to her, in 2 days at the end of the month, I'll get my check. And I want to use your computer. I have a phone now and don't really need it as much, but the one computer, for some reason, gets me access to my old Facebook, which I've gotten locked out of, and I want to get some stuff out of there. She thought I was saying I'd like to run a tab again and use it today. I'm sure she thought that because she just stayed guarded and never warmed up and stayed across the room from me. It was absolutely not like it had been. So I kind of stumbled and I said, and I'm having this housewarming party and I want to invite you. Maybe you and your family will come. She seemed like she might be open to that. We'll see. So I was wounded. I came out of there wounded. I was having such a great day. I wasn't expecting that. And I go, okay, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. How might that make sense? Well, when I could not get cash for that 420 peso tab, she did let me finally run my credit card, but she didn't like it. She felt badly used. She broke her own policy because she didn't see any way she was going to get paid. So she still got a guard up like this guy's going to use me badly. So, and then I relaxed and went, it's not personal. It's not that she liked you and now she doesn't like you. It's that something happened she's a businesswoman. And in our business transactions, she didn't like the way it played out and she's still kind of guarded towards me. And maybe it'll get better and maybe it won't, but it's not personal, Jack. Get over yourself. It's not about you. And that's, if there's any lesson I've had from the last 5 years, it's not about you. It's not about you. And one of the things I like in Mexico is that people do feel free to ignore you. And going down the street, I'll go, he doesn't care about me. She doesn't care about me. Isn't that a relief? It's not about me. One of my friends in upstate New York, her teenage daughter was going to go into New York City with me and my teenage son. And she lived in a sleepy little bedroom community where everybody knew everybody else's business. And if you got out of line, your mother would hear about it. And she said, I love going into the city because nobody cares about me. And I'm free. I have anonymity. I can just do whatever I want. So there's a joy in having it not be personal. Can be, except our little tiny egos want it to. We think it's all about us. And I keep encountering people who really, that's just assume it's all about me. And praise God, life has put me through enough painful experiences to help me get over that shit. And I still obviously get hooked sometimes, don't I? Don't I? Well, fuck me. No es importa. No importa. No, it isn't important at all. Not even a little bit.